So today's webinar, it's scheduled to last an hour and a Q&A, including Q&A. So we're going to go through all my bits of content. I'm going to show you some live demonstrations, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions as we go through, I'll try to answer them as we go along, but please use the Q&A function. So that is at the bottom of the screen, there's a Q&A button. Click that, and then you can ask questions, and I'll try and answer them. If I can't answer them, or we run out of time, I'll be adding them to the resources as well. So I will get to them and will answer them for you as well. This is being recorded, so there's a lot of content we're going to go through today, but you can watch it back, and you can see it on YouTube channel and our website, so it'll be on there as well. We'll email you a link to those things. Please do say hello in the chat. Everyone's doing it now, so hello. Hi, Karen from Oldham. Hi, Jenny. Yeah, please say hello in the chat. Let us know you're there. If you select everyone from the drop down in the chat, everybody can see it, not just the hosts and panelists. And lastly, we have captions as well. So it's being my words are being transcribed by Heather. So Heather's helping us today to do those. If you want to turn those on, just use the CC button at the bottom. And I've got Roberta, who's Roberta Beatty, our accessibility tech champion, who's helping me today in the chat, and she'll come on at the end and help me answer your questions as well. Okay, so let's get started. So this webinar is all about how to enhance Google Analytics 4 data using Google Tag Manager. So if you've watched the previous webinars, we talked about how to set up Google Analytics 4 in the first one. In the second webinar, we looked at actually creating some custom events and the reporting elements of GA4 as well. So this one, we're looking at Tag Manager, which is another platform that we can use to enhance data in GA4, so we can add additional information into it. So it's another practical session from us here. And as I say, this is being recorded, so you can watch it back if you need to. So if you do use Twitter, if you're still using Twitter, if it still exists, please tag us with the Digital Culture Network hashtag, or follow us with ACE_DCN, so ACE_DCN. So as I mentioned, in the last sessions we've had, they're about building your own events in GA4. And there's different ways that you can do that. So this is passing extra data in. So there's lots of standard data that goes in, but you want to customize it for your organization to track the things that are important for you. So there's several ways that we can do that. Firstly is using the GA4 interface itself. So using pre-existing events that come through to create new events. We can ask a developer to add additional information in if we need to, or we can use Google Tag Manager. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're talking about the third option. So using Google Tag Manager to add additional information into analytics. So this webinar is in 4 parts. And what we're going to cover today, firstly, what is Google Tag Manager for a start? Secondly, how to create and install a Google Tag Manager account. So we're going to create the account, and then we're going to install it on a website. And then in the third section is the more complex stuff. So we're going to look at how to set up events using Tag Manager to pass data into GA4. And then in the fourth section, part 4, we're going to talk about some advanced configuration options, things you might want to consider, and then some of the common pitfalls that I see when I talk to organizations or people are trying to get started with these things. Like last time, I've got some emojis to show you the journey that you might go on. So the first one, when we talk about the concept of Tag Manager, it might hurt your brain, it might explode slightly, so just bear with me with that one. When I go through the steps of creating an account, as I said, this is going to be recorded, so you can re-watch what I do and the steps I take to set this up. It is quite straightforward, it's just like a linear process that we're going through. So you're going to feel really cool once we get to the end of that one. When we get to the event tracking, I'm going to show you some examples of potential ways that you might pass data into GA4. So that's going to get you thinking, and it might confuse you slightly again, but again, you can watch it back. I'm here to help support you through that if you want one-to-one support as well. And then the last bit, you're going to put your monocle on and go, right, so this is the next level of stuff. Everything we talk about today is quite advanced. It's an advanced level webinar. And the things we talk about in part 4 is taking extra, it's like advanced. So our first section, so this might blow your mind when we talk about it in technical terms, but I'm going to guide you through this. So this is about what is Google Tag Manager. So you have your website and you have page templates, which give you the structure of the headers and footers on your website and the way it's presented through HTML and CSS code. The other thing that you'll have within your page templates is something called JavaScript. And JavaScript is how additional functionality or different platforms can be linked into your website. So some of the things that you might have installed on your website using JavaScript are things like this, like Google Analytics, so passing data back to Google Analytics from your website. You might have Google Ads. You might have social media pixels for Facebook and Meta and Twitter and things like Instagram. So you might have pixels specifically for those platforms, passing data back to those platforms about your users on your website. And you might have things like Hotjar, which is a tool used to record the user's sessions on your website. So little hotspots about what they're clicking on, things like that. So in the past, and what this might be the way it's set up on your website currently, is that all of these individual pieces of script are installed and placed into your page template. So they're used across all the pages on your website. The issue with that is that if you want to change something, you're going to have to either know what you're doing and go into your page templates and edit them, or you're going to have to ask your developers to make changes. So this is where Google Tag Manager comes in. So what Google Tag Manager does is it moves all of these scripts and they're held within the Tag Manager platform. And the only piece of script that you have on your website is the bit for Google Tag Manager. So this is acting as an umbrella to capture all of the different scripts that you might want to run, and you manage them within the Tag Manager interface. So you can choose when and where they fire and what pages that they that may be used on, and you can turn them off and you can add additional ones, all without the need for a developer. You can do this yourself. So that's how it works. Within Tag Manager, there are 3 main areas of how we structure things. And as I'm going through this, as I mentioned before, please use the Q&A function if you have any questions specifically, and we can get to them at the end. So the first element is the tag itself. So the tag is either a piece of code or a bit of information you want to happen. So the tag is, what do you want to happen? And I'm going to be using a few different ways to structure this so you can see it in context about what this actually means and potential examples as we go through as well. But the tag is, what do you want to happen? The next one is the trigger, and that is, when do you want to happen it to happen? So when do you want to do it? Yeah, sorry, when do you want to do it? So your tag is, what do you want to happen? The trigger is, when do you want to do it? So, for example, we want Google Analytics to run on every single page of our website. And that's where the variables come in. So our triggers is when, and then our variables is how specifically should things happen. So with Tag Manager, you can get really, really specific about the actions the users are taking on your website, and then use the tags in response to those. And if we look at that in a different format, it's like this. So we have, what do we want to happen is the tag, when do we want it to happen is the trigger, and then how is specifically is the variable. So some examples of what that looks like is like this. So we want a page view, so data about a page view to be passed through to analytics, for example. The way we want, so when that wants to happen is when a page loads. So every time a page loads, we want to pass a page view back to analytics. And then how is going to be any page. So with the standard configuration tag that we want for Google Analytics, we want that to fire on every single page of our website. So it's quite broad in that respect, but we can be more specific. So for example, if we're looking at file downloads on your website, when we want it to happen is a link click, but we don't want to track all link clicks. So someone clicking a link which goes off to a different website or a different page within your website. We actually only want to track when it's an actual file that's being downloaded. So the how, using the variables, is when we do the URL match. So we're matching these things. So this, if you've got Google Analytics 4 installed on your website, this is doing it automatically. So it's saying if the URL does a URL match and the URL that's been clicked, does it match any of these things? So we'll see in this list, this is actually a regular expression string, but what we have here is PDF, or we have XLS, which is an Excel file, or we have doc files, got CSVs, things like that. So this is automatically being tracked if you've got enhanced measurement turned on in Google Analytics 4. So it's just something to think about with the structure of any tags that you might want to fire, is like, how specific do you need to be to pass the information back? Now, page views and file downloads are being tracked anyway, but what if you want to track the download of JPEG files, for example? They're not on this list at the moment, but you might need to enhance the data being passed through to Google Analytics using Tag Manager to actually get more information out of it. And we'll show you that in an example as we go along. So this step is, I'm going to do a live demonstration. I'm going to show you how to create a Tag Manager account. It's dead straightforward. Let's do it. So what we have to do, we have to go to tagmanager.google.com. You'll notice in my example that I have here, what we have are various accounts. We've got loads of accounts. Because I've been working with various organizations for a long period of time, I've got access to loads of different Tag Manager accounts. So when you log in, so if you've got a Google account, I'm logged into our Digital Culture Network Google account, and you just log in. The one that you're still using for analytics is the best one probably to use. If you log into that, go into Tag Manager, you will see this interface, and there'll be an option to create an account. That's what I'm going to do now. So create an account, this should be your organization name. Now, in the last example, I created a website for a fictional organization called Peasant Party, which is all about dance parties for peasant parties. So we'll call our organization that, Peasant Party. You set the country you're in, and your container name is the website address. So I've created a demonstration website on a WordPress installation at this address. So it's peasantparty.co.uk. And then I click web. So we're using it for web. Tag Manager can be used on different platforms as well. I'll press create. I'll leave you to read all of the terms and conditions. I'm just going to click accept and then press yes. So that creates the Tag Manager account itself. And it creates a container, the first container for our website. So you'll have a different container for different websites that you have if the domain is different. You might have the same one if it's working across multiple ones. So what I've done is create my account. It automatically comes up with this pop-up asking me to install it. We're not going to do that just yet. We're going to do that. We're going to create a tag first before we actually install it on our website. I'm just going to close out of that. If I want to access that pop-up again, I just click the Tag Manager account ID, which is at the top here, and it will show me that again. So I'll close that down. So when you're presented with this screen, this is the home screen, but you have options down the left, just zoom in, for your tags, your triggers, and your variables. You also have things for folders, so you can contain things in a folder structure if you're doing different tags, doing different things. And there are templates, which I might show you at the end if we've got time. So I'm going to create a basic tag, and I want to create my tag for a Google Analytics 4 to pass data to Google Analytics 4. So what you need is to create something called a GA4 configuration tag. Now, there's only one of these in your account. all the other stuff that you might pass data through uses this tag manager, this configuration account, that configuration tag, to pass data back to the right analytics account. So this is a very important tag to have. I'm going to press new here, and I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it GA4 configuration. And what you're able to do here on the folder is actually create a folder and place it in that. So I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it GA4. And press create. If I create any future tags, that folder will be available for me in this list. So here I'm going to create a tag. And it's the first option on this list is the GA4 configuration. And what it asks me here is for my measurement ID. So if I have already created a Google Analytics 4 account, if you've watched the previous webinars, that's what we went through, we will have a measurement ID, and that's available for us through the data stream. So if I go to my analytics account, so this is what I've set up earlier specifically for this training. So I go to if it loads the home page when you log in, I don't know what it's doing this. Let me just reload it. Getting a message. I'm going to go here. If you load it like this, it will go to your home page usually. If you click the bottom left icon, which is for the admin, it's a cog icon, that will load up these options. So you'll have your account level and then your property level. So your property is each website. So in this list, there's one called data streams. So the fourth option down. And because we have our peasant party website that we've already set up, I'm going to click into that. And the measurement ID is over here on the right-hand side. So it's the one with the copy option next to it. I'm going to copy that. So back over to Tag Manager. I'm going to place my measurement ID in there. So that is the unique identifier for my analytics account. So this is where I want to send the data. So this is the configuration for the tag. It's quite a simple one. It's saying this is the configuration. It's passing data to that. As we scroll down, there's an option here for triggering. So this is the triggers that we talked about earlier on, is that we can choose when and where this tag fires. Now, this is a configuration one, which sends page view data. So we actually want to fire on every single page of our website. So in this list, there are 3 options at the moment. We want to pick the top one, which is all pages. But Tag Manager has the ability to be really specific about what and where things happen. And you can access those in this plus icon in the top right. My face might be in the way, so apologies. If we click that, we can create new triggers and be really specific about what and where is happening. So there are options. So these are based on page views, or we've got things around clicks. So are people clicking on specific things? And I'll show you an example of that in a bit. We have user engagement. So are things visible on a page? Has a form been submitted? Are people scrolling to a certain depth, or has a YouTube video been watched or interacted with? And there are lots of others as well. So you can, essentially anything that's happening on your website can be tracked using Tag Manager. And I know that's like a big thing. It's a big concept that anything can be tracked, but trust me, it can. So I'm going to close out this because I'm using the inbuilt one that's already here. You can search for them if the list is bigger as well. So I'm going to use my all pages trigger. So I'm going to click that. So this tag is ready to go. So we have the configuration of it and the trigger is set up. So I'm just going to press save now. What that appears then is that in my tags, we have our configuration tag. It's set there ready to go. It's not live anywhere at the moment. So what we're going to do is now install Tag Manager on our website. So we're going to go over. So if you don't mind putting in the chat, what platforms are your websites on? Is it like Squarespace, HubSpot we've got from Mark there, WordPress, yeah. Crash, Drupal, yeah. Squeeze. Yeah. Squarespace, Drupal, Crash, great. What I'll do in the resources, I will put instructions or links to resources which explain how to do it for each of those different platforms. I think the majority is WordPress, which is good because that's what my website is on. So thanks for responding. But yeah, let me know if there's any specific ones. Most platforms you'll be able to add tag manager in. There's just different ways to do it. So what I'm going to do is install it using WordPress. So if I go to my WordPress website, which is this one, Peasant Party website, what you can do when you log in, if you have ability, so you might have, if you have the right user permissions, you'll be able to add in additional plugins. The one I've added into our website is one called Google Sitekit. So that is Google's official analytics plugin for WordPress. So that's the one here. So I've already added this one in. And what I'm going to do is talk you through the setup of that. What I really like about Sitekit is that all you have to do is log into analytics using your Google account, and it does all the work for you. And then it gives you the options to set things up. Now, I've already activated it. So in my options, I've got Sitekit here in the left-hand side. And what it gives you the option to do is I can link this up to pass to have analytics. So the Google Analytics are available actually in the dashboard in WordPress, which is quite nice. But the thing I'm interested in at the bottom here, I'm going to sign in with Google and I'm going to link everything together. I'm going to just click through these options as we go through here. It'll ask you to tick actions about what access it can have. So you just tick all of them. I've done this a few times using this account, so it's going to say things like this. It's already verified. So we just go through next for these steps, giving it permission. So that option there for Google Search Console, that's another benefit of using Sitekit, is it will link Google Search Console data in. And what Google Search Console is, or verify your website, is the data of users, what users are searching for on Google before they get to your account, which is really interesting data. So what are they searching for? How do you rank for those different keywords? So I've just seen a message from Jill there. If you're an admin for the site rather than an owner, you don't have to be the owner of the site. Admin permissions should be able to add in plugins into WordPress. Okay, so I've gone through the options. There'll be a few pop-ups as you go through. I've already done it a couple of times, so that's why I'm not seeing as many. But once I do that, it will link and connect analytics up for a start, and it will try and match the right one for the right analytics account using your domain. We've got a huge list of accounts that we have access to, so we see different ones. This option here for enabling universal analytics, so that, don't turn that on because it's in the past. So universal analytics doesn't work anymore, so that is over. So once we've done that, we press configure analytics. It will link everything together for us. It will say, well done, it's completed everything. There'll be an option at the bottom here as well, another one saying it needs additional permissions to look at, to keep an eye on the code on your website. So just go through the step of saying yes to that as well. So that first step, I've linked in this analytics account. So it's linked this account in. But what I want to do is link in my tag manager account. So I now need to go to settings. And you'll see here we've got Search Console, Analytics, and Page Speed Insights. They're all connected, so it's pulling that data through automatically. I'm going to connect an additional service. So connect more services here. And I want Google Tag Manager on the right-hand side. So if I click that and go through the process, it will then ask me the same thing. So I choose the account. So I've created our new one for Peasant Party in this list. Where is it? Oh no, I've got two named the same. Let me just double check it's the right one. Not that one. So VGS is the account ID. Yes, that's the right one there. So double check your container ID, which is this thing, GTM dash whatever it is, and you can check it against that one. So I'm going to link that together, press confirm. So we've linked Tag Manager, we've linked Analytics. Now, what we want to do is handle everything through Tag Manager. So we want to handle the page views, we want to handle all our events. So to make sure that we're not adding additional tracking in, additional scripts in, what we can do is, what we need to do is go to Analytics, click this drop down, and then press this edit button here. And what we're going to turn off is this option here, which says place Google Analytics 4 code. We're going to turn that off because we're managing everything through Tag Manager. So we need to turn that one off and then press confirm changes. So once that's done, everything is now being routed through Tag Manager. The code on the website itself, so if I look at the website, I'm just going to look at the source code of the website. So what we have down here within the code, mind-blowing, I know, is this bit. So it says, Google Tag Manager snippet added by SiteKit. So this is what it's doing on your behalf. So you're not having to do any coding. It's adding this into your page templates on your behalf. So it'll keep an eye on that and make sure it's all good as it goes forward. It's Google's official version. So it's a great way of just linking everything together just by logging into your different accounts. So close out that one. So now that we have it installed on our website, we want to publish our tag out to make sure it's all connected and it's passing data through. So if you're logged in, we've created our tag, and you'll see that the workspace changes are 2, and we've got an option to preview and submit. So we want to preview it to make sure it's actually all working okay. So just get the URL we want to send people to, which is this one. And I press connect. So what this does, it connects our website. Oh, excuse me. There we go. So what this is, it uses, is it that one? This one, yeah, the tag assistant. To bring this, I'll link this in the resources. It'll give you this information. So what it does, it loads a preview of what's happening on the website when the page loads. So we're seeing that different things are happening on here. And when when it's loaded, so our all page view tag is loaded, it tells us when the tag was fired. So the GA4 configuration tag has fired. So it's saying this has happened, all pages has happened, and a big tick next to it. So it's passing data back through to analytics, which is perfect. So it's exactly what we want to see. If we go over to analytics, in the admin, there's an option to look at the debug view, which is this one. And again, this will give us information about, is it passing data through? So we've just installed it on a website. We're using Tag Manager's preview mode, and it gives us information about this is actually a page view has happened, and it gives us information about that. So we can see that it's working. We're happy with the way it's set up. So if we go back to Tag Manager, so we have our tag assistant there. I can close that down now. Don't need that anymore. I'm going to press submit and then give it a name, GA4 setup, and then press publish. So that makes the changes that we've just made in Tag Manager or in the website all done. So it's now passing data through to GA4. So every time that page loads, that code is sat inside the header section of the website. There we go. So that sits within our head section of the website automatically and passing that data through. So just to answer your question, Beth, in your Q&A, if you have SiteKit, would you not have to add the head and body code on each page, web page in WordPress? No. So that's what it's doing. It's adding it automatically to every single page of your website. So you don't have to do anything. To answer your question, Rachel, is GTM used instead of GA4 dashboard or alongside it? They're very different things. So Tag Manager itself is passing data to GA4. It's not a way to look at visualizations or do reporting. It's all about getting the data across the GA4. You would use GA4 or Looker Studio, like a data visualization tool, to analyze the data that's coming in. Okay. So we've now set up our configuration tag. We've used SiteKit. If you were to use any of the other plugins, so I've got a couple, and I'll add these in the resources. So there's one called Google Tag Manager. Well, it's called GTM for WP, so Google Tag Manager for WordPress. If you wanted to use that one instead, you can do. So what we do is we activate it. And what you have to do in this one is you enter your Google Tag Manager ID. So from our Tag Manager account, let's go. Excuse me, let's find the right tab. Disappears on me. Oh, there it is. Over here on our workspace, this one, so that's our tag ID. So we copy that, just the ID, and over in, if we're using this plugin instead, we can turn that on. Now, the benefits of using this one instead of the SiteKit one is that you can do additional data that can be passed through. So there's lots, if you need it. So for example, I can set this data, basic data. I can actually pass information about the author of the content of each page as well. So this is a lot of additional information that gets passed through into GA4. So there's lots of information about the different posts, the formats, the categories of information that's available for you. So that might be something that you might want to look at and use if you need that level of data as well. But what we're going to do now is look at what you can get data-wise, what we're going to pass data-wise using new tags. So we're going to pass new data into GA4 using additional event tags in the GA4 interface. So I'm going to talk you through that now. I've got 4 examples. The first one, I'm going to show you how to, I'm going to share a recipe for it as well, so you can import it into your own container if you need to. It's quite a useful one. So in GA4, when you set up your account, you can access this in the web stream details if you need to, if you don't have these things turned on. But this is all the data about enhanced measurement. So this is additional. You never used to get this with the old version of Analytics. That's what's great about this one. So it tracks things like scrolls, your outbound clicks, your site search, your video engagement, and your file downloads. So it's already collecting a lot of data about what's happening on your website. The thing with some websites is that they're not configured in a way that gets picked up by these things. So you might need to use Tag Manager to pass the data in a different way. So for example, your video engagement, it works with YouTube videos, usually. Sometimes it doesn't work with YouTube videos, so you might need Tag Manager. But if you have Vimeo videos installed on your website and you want to track interactions with them, you're going to have to use Tag Manager to pass that data through. So it's all about how your website is configured and the type of things that you need to track. So when thinking about what you might want to track using GA4 and the data in it, just have a think about, does the data already exist somewhere else? So enhanced measurement brings some stuff. And you might be getting it from like a plugin that we just saw there. So that GTM for WordPress plugin actually passes data through if you want to set it up using that. But this is like a simple way of thinking about it. If the trigger, so if whatever's happening is any of these, so a page view, an external link click, or a file download, if it's any of those things, you can just use GA4 to configure it. So you don't need to use Tag Manager. You can actually reuse it. But the thing to think about as well is, and you don't need additional parameters. So in the last webinar, we talked about parameters. So these are the additional bits of information that gets passed with an event to give more context about what's happening. And we're going to look at that in a second. So thinking about that. So you might, for example, if you had a file download, but you actually wanted to pass more information through, you don't want to use the standard way it does it. You can actually create a new version. So when you're thinking about custom events, custom data going into GA4, these are the questions to ask. What is it you need to know? So what is it about your website that you want to track that's going to give you additional information for you to make decisions on? Where can you get this data from? So does it already exist within the system? Can you use a plugin, or do you need to use Google Tag Manager? And then lastly is, how do you structure the data? And we're going to look at some of the examples of events versus parameters in a second. But it's thinking that because there is a limit to the amount of events that you can have within a GA4 account, it's worth consolidating as many things as you can. So then you're not got lots and lots of events, which is all confusing. You actually have a small amount of events, but they're actually passing more parameters for the detail about what you want to report on. So other things to consider are these. Can I get the data from existing GA4 events? What recommended parameters can I use? So the extra parameters that get passed through, I'm going to share a link in a second, which shows you what parameters exist in GA4. There's quite a lot of different ones. You can reuse them. So I'm going to show you that in a second with the first example. And this last thing is, do I need to define a custom dimension? And that, if you've not heard about that before, it's like, what is this? A whole new dimension? What are you talking about? A custom dimension is you telling Google Analytics 4 that this bit of information coming in as a parameter is how I want to name it in reports. So when I'm building a report, I want to be able to access that data in this name. And I'm going to show you that in a second as well. So again, we're going to go back to what we talked about in the first section. I know this is a lot to take in, but it's being recorded. You can rewatch this, so don't worry. The first is what. So that's your tag. The when is your trigger, and then how specifically is your variable. So this is our first example. So this data does not come through automatically from GA4. Because firstly, the email addresses, you'll have many across your website. It doesn't understand it, especially if it's the same domain name as your web address. It doesn't understand, it won't track it because it thinks it's an internal link. And your telephone numbers can be set up in different ways. So in our example website, people can get in contact with you in different ways. So in this example, in our contact us section, people can get in contact via email. They can get in contact via phone. They can also get in contact via the form as well. So this form section, they can get in contact with you. All of those things can be considered as the same event. So the same event is someone getting in contact with you. That's the objective that you're trying to achieve. The way they're doing it in different ways can be passed as parameters, because you don't need to know specifically if you're just tracking as a conversion. You just need to know that people are getting in contact with you. If you want to dig down into that data, you can do as well. But a lot of the times, you just want to know that someone's people are getting in contact with you. So if we're going to set this up, what these links look like in HTML is they begin with mail to. So it's mail to hello@presentparty.com, for example. And then your telephone numbers, if you're doing this, not everybody uses the HTML code for telephone numbers, but if you are, it is tel, and then colon, and then the phone number within the link. So if you're not doing that already, I recommend doing it. So these two things can be tracked. So again, if we're thinking about our what, our how, and our when, we want people to get in contact with us. How are they doing it? So one example is an email. And then when, the variable is, it's a link click. The second is, let's switch over here, is the phone number. So people clicking on phone numbers. And again, it's a link click, but it's only when they're clicking the tel links. So the one's beginning with that. And then third option is actually the submitting forms as well. So there are 3 different ways people are getting in contact with you on your website. So we can bring this data into analytics. So we've got our mail to them. So if we were thinking about it from an event and parameter point of view, we can create an event called contact. So remember, these are lowercase, so and underscores for any spaces. It's the snake case. So contact, and we have a parameter. We can have one called method. Now that's one that's already exists within GA4. There's a list of parameters. So we're reusing something. So that parameter is used in a lot of sign-up events to pass data about how people are signing up. Was it via a login form or a newsletter subscription, things like that? So you can pass extra information. We're using it in this example for our contact form. So for this, the method is either one of email, phone, or form. So we want to pass that data through. Secondly, we want to understand a bit more about which email address has been clicked or which phone number is clicked, because that could actually lead to us creating additional events or filtering and reporting specifically on certain email addresses. If it's, I don't know, venue hire at your organization, we want to then use that information to then filter on that and say, oh, people are getting specifically in touch about that. So then that's a venue hire inquiry, as an example. So if we're going to set this up in Tag Manager, I'm going to show you some screenshots of it, but I'm actually going to, we're going to install this ourselves and make it live on the website. This is the setup of what it would look like. So we use a Google Analytics GA4 event instead. So we're not using the configuration one, we're using the event one. And now we have to select our configuration tag. And we choose what event we want to call it. So we're calling it contact. And we're passing the things that we just looked at, a method and a contact name. And the way this is triggered, we are looking specifically at email clicks and telephone clicks on our website. So when those two things happen, that's the how, it's then going to pass this data through to Google Analytics 4 through our GA4 configuration tag. So it's that kind of logic steps as it goes through. And what we can do using another variable is that we can use intelligent stuff with Google Tag Manager. There's so many different things you can do in variables. It's mind-blowing, honestly. But in this example, it's looking at what has been clicked, so the click URL, and if it matches this, which is a mail to link, then output email. If it's a tell link, output phone. Otherwise, it's a form. So this is using logic to work through to then present results in the tag that's passing data through to GA4 automatically. So it's doing all those things on our behalf forevermore. So a lot of this work, it's hard to get started with. It's hard to understand for a start and get up to speed with. But once you do, this is all ticking away automatically. It's passing data through to GA4 automatically. Wonderful. So this is the trigger for the email clicks. So it's saying if a link has been clicked and the link URL, the click URL, begins with mail to, then that is our trigger. So it's being really specific about what's happening. Excuse me. What I'm going to show is how we can import stuff into Tag Manager. Way too many windows open, apologies. Let me get the right one. There we go. So you're able to create your own tags. So we created our first one, and we did that ourselves and we published it. And we could create a new one by clicking new, clicking in configuration, and then selecting this GA4 event. We would then pick our configuration tag, and this is where you would choose what the event name is called. So snake case, remember, and then what extra parameters we might want to pass through. So that setup you can do for anything that you might want. And there's loads of different things with the triggers and stuff. In the resources, I'll send you loads of examples of other videos about doing different things that you might want to do. But I'm going to do something different. We're not going to create a brand new one ourselves. We're actually going to use something called a recipe. So what we're able to do is import pre-existing setups into our Tag Manager account, which do the things that we want to do. And there are loads of these that already exist. I created this one, and I'm going to share it with you. I think Roberta's linked to it already. So I go to the admin section within the interface. I import a container. I'm going to choose a file. So I'm going to pick a file that I already have, which is this one. It's a JSON file. And I want to click existing from my workspace and click default workspace. And then I'm going to press merge. And what that does is stops it. If I leave it on overwrite, it will get rid of the tags that are already in the account. I don't want to do that. I'm going to click merge. And then you'll see nothing's been modified or deleted for any of those things. If I press confirm, that imports that file and that structure of data into analytics for me. And if I look at tags now, I've got a brand new tag called GA4 event and contact. So from those screenshots we looked at, this is exactly the setup that we had in that screenshot. And this is going to do all the things that we want it to do. So you may need to pick the configuration tag if it's named something different to GA4 configuration. So once I've done that, I've imported it in. It's a ready-made recipe. I can then preview my website yet again. Bring this over here. Excuse me. And that one. And you'll see the tags that have fired so far is our configuration one. The contact one hasn't fired. So what I need to do is scroll down the page, and I'm going to click something which would fire it. So, for example, the telephone number, if I click that, I think I'm on the wrong, is that the wrong account? Excuse me. This one. I was on the wrong account there. So there we go. So our tag manager, tag assistant is connected. I scroll down and click this one. It will then say something has happened and a tag has fired, which is our contact tag. So because we've imported that and we're previewing it, it's now got it there. When I look at my link clicks, I can click on this left-hand side, I can see that the GA4 event contact has been clicked, and it will say, what trigger did it? It was the telephone clicks, a big tick next to it, and it will pass through it will say the method is phone, and the contact name, it will give me the number that was contacted. So that's it. You know, if you can import various different things within Tag Manager to pass data through. Let's close this one and jump back to Tag Manager. So if I'm happy with the way that's working, I can then press submit, and then I can give it a name for contact, and then press publish. And that's live on the site. We don't ever have to go into Tag Manager ever again if that's all you need. So it's passing through GA4 stuff, it's passing through the contact details as well. It's all going through. So if I look at that in analytics, back to analytics. I'm going to look at the reports and then the real-time report just to see if any data is coming in. You'll see there I am up in Preston in the Northwest. The user is there. And what we will see if we scroll down this list is that there are some events that are happening. So we'll see that there's a page view happened, a session start has happened, but also a contact event has happened. And if I click into that, it will give us the two things I have, which is our contact name and the method. So if I click on method, it tells me that the method was phone because of the phone number I clicked, and the contact name is the phone number itself. So that's passing that data through automatically for us. So it's doing it on our behalf. Now, I mentioned earlier about something called custom definitions, and that is if you're creating parameters which are non-standard, which this is, you need to tell GA4 that that you want to get the data out again. So we do that in the admin section. So we go to admin, and in this list, there's one called custom definitions. And I've made this already, but I'll just show you again. So we press create definition, and whatever you want to call it to see in reports, I'm just going to call it contact name. It could be whatever you want. And then the event parameter is whatever it is that's coming through. So it's saying it's already been used because we've already used it, but and it's just here. So essentially we set it as that. So it's using the content name parameter and dimension name as contact name. So when I'm in reports, in my explorations, in this list, when I'm looking at dimensions, it's actually available for me in that name. So that's what I've chosen to call it. And then I can report on that and look at the telephone numbers. I can look at the email addresses that are coming through. So it's an important step if you're not using the existing parameters that exist within GA4 ecosystem. Okay. So what I'm going to do is show you now, quickly show you the other three examples. They're not going to be live examples, just some screenshots. So we'll have to hammer through those quite quickly. But just on this, your custom definition is really important. This anything that's non-standard, you have to define yourself using custom definitions. It's a place where people get stuck. So our example is our parameter was that, and we called it that. So this is the cheat sheet that Roberta has linked to. So there's loads of information about the pre-existing parameters are in there. It's a lot to take in, I know, but if you need help with this, that's what we're here for. Okay. So a second example is audio interactions. These are not tracked as standard. This organization, so it's Chapel FM, an online radio station in Leeds, they have audio content that that people can listen to. So they click things on the website and it loads the audio player. And what they've done is they've created custom events in GA4 to pass data through into analytics. So theirs is called audio start. We've got a parameter called audio title, which is the name of the show, and then audio mode. So there's two different modes. They have one where people can listen live and one listen again. So that's their recorded things. So for their setup, they've got their configuration tag, their event name is audio start, and they're passing those extra parameters using snake case for everything. And it's using this extra data. So it's so specific you can get to with Tag Manager. There's loads to get into with that. And but I'm here to help if you need to go deeper into any of those things. So for their custom definitions, they've got audio title. They've called it audio title, audio mode, audio mode. So it's whatever you want the name to be in those reports. That's how they set those up. And in reports, they can then get that data then. So they can build an exploration of the data about audio title. So what has been listened to, how many times people have pressed play on those things. So example 3. So this is My Learning. So this is Leeds Museum and Galleries. It's run by them. And they have so much content on this website and all resources to be used about from arts and culture and heritage organizations. Their options to download content have things for like download image or download various things. But what happens with their website is that it doesn't go to like a .pdf file or things like that. It actually goes to a link which redirects it to those files. So for this example, it actually goes to /download. So it needed a custom event and a custom parameters passing through Tag Manager to pick those bits up. So they have one called resource download. It uses pre-existing parameters. So look at the cheat sheet, you can see these in them. Link text, link URL, file name. So it's using those to pick up the data. In Tag Manager, the event name is resource download, and then they're picking up those bits using the data available through variables to be specific about what they want to know. And then in reports, the trigger, it's using HTML to target what is being clicked. That can get quite complex. Again, here to help if you need it. And they're using standard parameters, so they didn't need to set any custom definitions. And this is what they can get. So a really nice name of the content that's being downloaded, picking it up from the actual page title on the page, because that information didn't exist anywhere else. Example 4, and this is one that would be useful for quite a few organizations, is actually content grouping. And it's something that we use at the Digital Culture Network. So there are various sections of our website. that you see here, lots and lots of different ones. And for us to report on certain things, instead of just filtering down to different URLs and things like that, which can be quite time consuming, we've set up content grouping to make it easier to report in GA4. So the way we do that is that we pass extra information with our page view. So our configuration tag that we have, we actually pass extra information with that. So we use a content group, and it presents information about what it is that people are looking at and those page views. So for this, we're actually amending our configuration tag to actually send extra data in. So it's called content group, this event, and it actually does a match using a regular expression table, which I'll show you in a second, which looks like this. And what this does is it picks up the page path, so what page people are on. It then looks, it reviews it and says, does it match any of these things? If it does, then output something like this. So for example, if it's the news section of the website, output news. If it's in the knowledge section of the website, output knowledge hub. What that does is gives us the ability to report on those things like this. So content group is actually an option that's available in reports. So the main report section of Google Analytics 4. So in the drop down, if you're looking at pages and screens, there is one for content group if you've started to use this content group. And that then we can then say for our sections of website, our knowledge hub, this is how many users we're getting, this is our engagement time for the different sections. And it just enables us to quickly see those different areas. But then we can also use these as filters to dig down into the data as well. So if we build an exploration, we can actually use a filter to say, I only want to look at the knowledge hub results, and then it will just present the content that's available for you. We can see the webinar recording for GA4 is up there, which is great. I'm really happy to see. That might work really well for quite a few different organizations. So I know we've only got a few minutes left, so I'm just going to quickly go through these. In part 4 about advanced configuration, one of the things that organizations can use Tag Manager for is the cookie consent. Now we use it on the Digital Culture Network website, which if someone comes to our website, there is a cookie notice, a banner, and how they interact with that will dictate whether or not our tags fire. So whether we actually start to set any cookies or do any tracking. So the cookie consent can be managed through Tag Manager, and all of your tags can then make sure they're addressing the request of the user. So that's quite an advanced thing to do, but something that you might want to consider. The second is for ticketing and shop integrations. So some of the big ticketing systems can integrate with Tag Manager, and we've done resources on those as well, and we'll put some links into those. So it's going to give you e-commerce data about what's happening. And you can also manage other pixels. So it's not all about Google Analytics 4. Tag Manager can be used for other things that you might want to run on your website, such as like the meta pixel, or I had a call this morning helping someone install a TikTok pixel. So these are the things that you can use Tag Manager for without having to involve a developer. And that's where it can be quite powerful. So you can be really precise with what scripts are running, and you can save a lot of money by not involving your web developers all the time. And lastly, just some questions that I get asked a lot when people are first approaching this. So the first one is, I can't access Tag Manager. So if it's been set up already by maybe a web developer, you might not have access to the pre-existing Tag Manager account on your website. You can get access. So our example for our Peasant Party one, it's gone down here. Too many websites. Right, here we go. So this one. In the admin section, there's something called user management. And in here, you're able to add additional users, and you can set what level of access they have. So you can add people as administrators, and they can have access to certain containers, and you can set what level that they can access those as well. So something to consider, if you already have Tag Manager installed on your website, you can ask for people to add you in as well. The second one is firing. So depending on how specific you are with them, it can get quite complex. But the most common one is that people have done all the work and previewed it, but they didn't press submit. So they've not published the container out. So that's something to keep an eye on. And then the last one is I'm seeing weird event names in GA4. So you might be getting a lot of data into GA4. You don't know where it's coming from. Now, not everybody is perfect when it comes to creating data that goes into GA4. And this is an example from Eventbrite. So Eventbrite have released a GA4 integration, and it's passing information, which is, these are okay, event listing and event register, but they're actually passing this thing called completed order. This is bad data going into GA4 from Eventbrite, which is a big organization. So not everyone's perfect, but you might see that as well. There are ways to clean this data up, so we can help as well. Okay, remember it's snake case. So yeah, I hope you've probably gone, it might have just been an explosion throughout that whole thing, but you can rewatch this, as we say, and we're here to help if you need it. You're not alone, honestly. It's free if you're an arts and culture organisation, creative cultural organisation in England. You can get free support from us, so please use us if you need it. Roberta's put a link to my diary as well, so you can book in some time to go through things. And we'll quickly do one or two questions if there's anything that's come through, Roberta. I know we've run over slightly.
Yeah, there are a few, James, a few questions. The first one is, will using Google Tag Manager rather than separate pixels positively benefit site speed? So will Tag Manager affect the site speed, essentially?
Yeah, it's better to use Tag Manager because you can turn them off quickly if you ever need to, if there's any issues with those kind of things. And you can only fire them on certain sections of your website, things like that. You have far more control than just adding them to your page templates.
Fantastic. Another one that came through was, how do you install WordPress plugins if you're an admin for a site rather than an owner?
So with an administrator, you should still be able to add plugins. I'm not quite sure with the permission levels when it comes to that, but maybe I don't think you have to be the owner. I think you can do it as an administrator, but there are options.
You can as well.
Yeah. So yeah, give us a shout. We'll try and help you through that.
And someone was asking if there are similar apps or extensions for Squarespace and other content management systems.
So Squarespace, you would add the code directly into the page template, which is actually quite straightforward. It's just there's an option to add custom code within Squarespace, so you can do that. It all depends on the level of platform the level that you have. Is it a premium one or something like that? Whatever cost it is. The basic one you can't add custom scripts, but the next one up you can.
Brilliant. So another one that came in was, if we've got tags set up on Universal Analytics, will they automatically transfer over to GA4?
No. So the data that you'll get passing data through to, because it's being routed into Universal Analytics, it won't automatically pass that data through to GA4. So you'll need to set up new tags or use the data that's available in enhanced measurement to actually set those things up.
Fantastic. And there's another one in, we've got two other questions. So, and one of them is a question about tracking donations. In our e-commerce report, we can see the type of revenue by donations, fees, gift vouchers, memberships, and tickets. We can also split out tickets fees by the name of the show. So we want to see reports for donations by fund. Is this something we can do in GA4 or through GTM? Our box office is software is Spectrix.
Spectrix, yeah. So in the data that comes through from Spectrix, I think in the category it actually passes that data through as well about the different funds. So what I've seen some organizations do is that the name of the fund is within the actual type of what the donation is. So it's donation to X fund or donation to Y fund. So there are different ways that you can do it from the Spectrix end. You might be able to do it in some ways using Tag Manager to pass the data in, but it should already be there.
Okay, that's great, James. Thank you. And the last question is, will existing hard-coded JS events still work when using only the GTM script?
Yeah, so you could use something called a HTML tag. So it's one of the options when you're building a tag. Let me just quickly show you. Yeah. Workspace. Over in tags, when I create a new one, in the options that I have in this list, there's one called custom HTML. So you could just put the script in there and then choose when and where it fires. And it will do exactly the same as what it did previously on your website.
Fantastic. And one more question's come in last minute. Would you recommend Tag Manager over Google over goals in X?
I wouldn't, not over. The stuff that you do in Tag Manager should be contributing data to goals, and they're called conversions now in GA4. That is what you're looking for. So anything that you're setting up in Tag Manager should be contributing to those things. So it could be a certain form that's being filled out, or a certain action people are taking on your website is a conversion in GA4. So Tag Manager is how to get the data in, and GA4 is how to interpret and get the data out again.
Fantastic. Thanks, James.
Right, thanks, everybody. Apologies for going over slightly, and thanks for your help, Roberta and Heather, for doing our closed captions today. But yeah, thank you for everybody. And this is being recorded, so you can rewatch, and we're going to send you a link to this as well.